Lindsey Vonn is still recovering physically and emotionally from her frightening crash at the Winter Olympics. For now, the tough decisions about the future can wait. The American ski racer has undergone 8 surgeries after suffering a complex left leg fracture, one that nearly led to a leg amputation in the women's downhill skiing race on February 8 in Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy. She needs at least one more to repair a torn anterior cruciate ligament, ACL, in that same knee. Israel has intercepted 22 out of the 58 aid ships traveling through international waters and bound for the besieged Gaza Strip. The ships make up part of a second global Sumud flotilla to try in recent months to break an Israeli blockade by carrying humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza. They sailed from the Spanish port of Barcelona on April 12.
And Gulf leaders gathered in Riyadh this week for their first in-person meeting since the outbreak of the US-Israel war with Iran. Alongside security concerns, they also discussed expediting long-standing joint projects under the umbrella of the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. These initiatives span transport, energy, water security and defence. They aim to deepen economic ties and strengthen collective resilience.
Politics and human rights will take centre stage when leading figures of the football world meet for FIFA's 76th Congress in Canada, weeks before the North American nation co-hosts the World Cup with the United States and Mexico. The Iran war, logistical issues surrounding the World Cup, and the unresolved question of Russia's international ban are set to feature in discussions among roughly 200 member associations from more than 200 member associations.
And Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PIF, has confirmed funding to the breakaway LIV Golf League would be cut after the 2026 season. LIV Golf announced on Thursday a new board and a new business strategy as it tries to forge ahead without Saudi funding, which allowed the league to launch nearly 4 years ago with oversized contracts and prize funds.
Islamabad, despite a healthy primary balance of 3.3% of gross domestic product, GDP, at home, the Ministry of Finance on Thursday warned that Pakistan's external sector may be facing risks owing to emerging global uncertainties and regional supply disruptions amid a higher rate of inflation. External demand may remain supportive in some markets, but the balance of risk becomes less favorable than in a pre-war setting, the ministry said in its monthly economic update and outlook for April 2026.
Justices Babar Sattar and Mohsin Akhtar Kayani will begin presiding over proceedings at the Peshawar High Court, PHC, and Lahore High Court, LHC, respectively, in the coming week following their recent transfers from the Islamabad High Court, IHC. Their transfers, along with that of IHC Judge Saman Rafat Imtiaz to the Sindh High Court, were approved by the Judicial Commission of Pakistan, JCP, on April 28 and notified by the Law Ministry on April 29 amid criticism from lawyers' bodies. Armed violence has intensified in Mali since Saturday after an al-Qaeda-linked armed group working with separatists attacked several military bases across multiple cities, including areas where senior government officials live, and took control of the northern city of Kidal. Malian Defence Minister Sadio Kamara and his family were killed in their home in Kati, a military garrison close to the capital, Bamako, the government announced on Sunday. Armed groups have announced that they are laying siege to Bamako.
And the Panama Canal has emerged as the latest maritime flashpoint, with the United States and China exchanging barbs in recent weeks over influence in what is one of the world's most important shipping routes. Earlier this week, Washington and its allies in the region accused Beijing of detaining and holding up Panama-linked ships and claimed China's actions were a blatant attempt to politicize maritime trade. And the United States Supreme Court has voided a key provision of a landmark civil rights law by ruling that the electoral map of Louisiana had been drawn up unconstitutionally to create 2 black majority districts. The decision represents a major reinterpretation of the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965, in particular, its provision designed to protect minority voters from having their political power diluted.
The trial of 4 Indonesian soldiers accused of carrying out an acid attack on an activist who had campaigned against the expanding role of the armed forces in government has begun in a military court in Jakarta. The case has drawn national and international attention, with experts describing the soldiers' alleged actions as part of a broader pattern of repression amid growing concerns over rising military influence and democratic backsliding in Indonesia.
Speaking at a televised cabinet meeting on March 26, the US Secretary of Defense boasted of US military successes against Iran in the ongoing war. Never in recorded history has a nation's military been so quickly and so effectively neutralized, he said, seated next to US President Donald Trump. The very next day, Iran fired missiles and drones that struck a US base in Saudi Arabia, wounding several US soldiers and destroying a radar surveillance plane that cost 700 meters. The federal government has refused to restore gas supply to CNG stations in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, according to official sources. Sources said provincial finance advisor Muzammil Aslam contacted Federal Petroleum Minister Ali Pervez Malik by phone and later briefed the chief minister on the response received from the centre.
And a total of 287 candidates are under consideration for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize, the Secretary of the Norwegian Nobel Committee said Thursday, with US President Donald Trump likely among the nominees. Reuters reported. Christian Berg Hartbecken said this year's list includes 208 individually 79 organizations. He also noted that the committee has seen many new names compared with last year.
OnePlus and Realme are reportedly preparing to merge into a single operating entity, according to a new report from China. Both companies already operate under the same parent entity, BBK Electronics. The report said the combined business would be led by Li Jie, who would report directly to Pete Lau, also known as Liu Zuohu. If completed, the move would likely see both brands combine product development, business strategy, and internal resources.
And Pakistan Telecommunication Company Limited, PTCL, has taken notice of recent media reports suggesting a possible change in EAN's, formerly Etisalat, investment position in Pakistan, and has strongly rejected such claims. A company spokesperson said that the reports circulating in the media are baseless and based on speculation, adding that such unverified information can create unnecessary uncertainty in the market.
Motorola has introduced the Moto G47 as part of its latest product lineup, alongside the Moto G37, Moto G37 Power, Moto G87, and 3 Razr 70 series foldables. The new device brings a high-resolution main camera, fast refresh rate display, and Android 16 software. The Moto G47 features a 67-inch Full HD Plus LCD with a 120 Hz refresh rate for smoother scrolling and animations. The panel is protected by Gorilla Glass 7i and includes a punch hole cutout for the front camera.
Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei declared on Thursday that the United States had suffered a shameful defeat, defiantly rejecting a warning from President Donald Trump that an economically punishing US naval blockade could be enforced for months to come. Today, 2 months after the largest military deployment and aggression by the world's bullies in the region, and the United States' disgraceful defeat in its plans, a new chapter is unfolding for the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, said Khamenei in the message read on state television. Amazon said on Thursday that restoring cloud computing operations in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, which were damaged in the conflict in the Middle East, is expected to take several months. Amazon's data centers in the region were hit by Iranian retaliatory drone strikes in early March amid the conflict, disrupting cloud services and making a recovery prolonged. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Thursday decided to extend the fuel subsidy for motorcyclists, public and goods transport by 1 month. According to a statement issued by the Prime Minister's office, PMO, the Premier decided to continue providing relief to the economically vulnerable sections of society during the current situation. Mali's capital city, Bamako, a major West African hub and home to more than 3 million people, is under a partial blockade by Islamist militants days after the country's defence minister was assassinated there. Our army isn't capable of protecting us. How are we going to get back home? A mother of two told the BBC, unable to re-enter Bamako after visiting her parents out of town.
Pro-Palestinian activists say at least 22 boats from a flotilla carrying aid for Gaza have been intercepted by Israeli forces in international waters near the Greek island of Crete. The organisers of the global Sumud flotilla, GSF, denounced the action as piracy, saying those on board had been seized unlawfully more than 965 kilometres, 600 miles from Gaza, which is under an Israeli naval blockade. If you are visibly Jewish, you're not safe in Britain, the country's chief rabbi said Thursday, expressing the anxiety of the British Jewish community after 2 men were stabbed in a London neighbourhood already reeling from several recent anti-Semitic attacks. I'm sad to say that today's event proves that if you are visibly Jewish, you're not safe and far more needs to be done. Ephraim Mirvis told the BBC.
And for the third time in 12 days, the Russian Black Sea town of Tuapse woke up Tuesday to apocalyptic scenes, thick toxic fumes and flames rising up from the latest Ukrainian drone attack on the Rosneft-owned Tuapse oil refinery almost reached the heights of the surrounding Caucasus Mountains.
Israel's attacks on southern Lebanon have killed at least 9 people, according to the country's national news agency, NNA, despite a 3-week extension to the United States-mediated ceasefire announced last week. In the municipality of Jebchit, 3 people were killed and 7 wounded in an attack that destroyed a residential building. In the municipality of Toul, 4 people were killed and 6 wounded. While in the municipality of Haruf, 2 people were killed, and the attack also destroyed a house.
Jailed Tunisian opposition leader Rached Ghannouchi has been urgently transferred to a hospital after a sharp deterioration in his health. His party has announced calling for his immediate release. Ghannouchi, the 84-year-old former Speaker of the Ennahda Party, has been imprisoned since April 2023 in what his supporters and international rights groups describe as a politically motivated campaign to crush dissent.
Marathon record breaker Sebastian Sawe has received a hero's welcome home in Kenya, with fans thronging the airport in Nairobi and the country's president giving him cash and a car. Sawe posted the first ever sub-2-hour marathon time of 1:59:30 when he won the London Marathon on Sunday, shattering one of athletics' most elusive barriers and improving on the previous world record by more than 1 minute.
A joint letter by the executives of the world's top media organisations has called on Israel to allow foreign journalists to enter and report from Gaza independently. Being on the ground is essential. It allows journalists to question official accounts on all sides, to speak directly with civilians and report back what they witness firsthand. The top editors of more than 24 media companies, including the BBC, CNN, Reuters and the Associated Press, said on Thursday. United States Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has clashed with American lawmakers over the cost of war on Iran in his first appearance on Capitol Hill since the conflict, now into its 3rd month, broke out. The Pentagon told a hearing of the House Armed Services Committee on Wednesday that the US had spent $25 billion on its war on Iran, largely on munitions and equipment maintenance. You've heard of Instagram Reels. Now get ready for Netflix Clips. Netflix is redesigning its mobile app and introducing Clips, a vertical video feed intended to help users discover new content by sharing highlights from original Netflix programming.